Greetings, cyberdogs and citizens of the internet. This is RENDOG coming at you from an abandoned mineshaft in this Let's Play Minecraft survival series. In the previous episode, we ventured into the butthole of Silkworm Gang Island on the hunt for some more resources so that we can complete the Silkworm Gang railway station. And in this episode, my friends, we are going to be harvesting the jazz out of this abandoned mineshaft, and I'm going to be finishing telling you guys the story of Spacebucks, the Silkworm Gang, and that freaking butthole Gareth. So sit back and relax, my cyber diggity dogs. Let's play some Minecraft survival. Now guys, since the end of the previous episode, I've been a pretty busy doggy, man. I have been exploring this area like nobody's business. I've been laying a few strip mines here and there, and I just literally a few moments ago broke into this abandoned mine shaft, and just to show you guys all of the sweet jazz that I've managed to collect over the last, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes or so, I've managed to pick up 4 diamonds, a whole bunch of redstone, a bit of lapis, a good 46 blocks of gold ore, which is epic, 2 stacks and a little bit of iron ore, and a bit of coal, which I think I've already mentioned, and 1 arrow. And and 1 arrow, so that's pretty sweet. So it's been a pretty lucrative mining mission for me over the last 20 minutes or so. Unfortunately, what happened at the end of the last episode, some of you guys were asking why did the last episode end so abruptly. Well, I was busy recording and I was busy telling you guys the story about Spacebucks and Gareth and the Space Gang and stuff. And the hard drive onto which I record my Minecraft videos actually filled up, and I didn't notice that Bandicam stopped recording the video. So by the time I ended the last episode, I'd actually lost half of the episode because I hadn't recorded it because I'd run out of freaking hard drive space. So yeah, that's why the last video ended a little bit suddenly. But hey guys, welcome to the world of making YouTube videos. Gotta make sure your freaking hard drives are empty, my friends. That's gonna be pro tip number 1. Make sure you have giant ass hard drives and that they always have space on them. Because sometimes you can be recording a video and then 20 minutes later you realize that actually you haven't recorded anything because you're a noob butthole YouTuber. But anyway guys, I'm very, very happy to have found this abandoned mineshaft. These bits of plankage over here these are basically like more important to us than gold and diamonds right now. Our current task is to craft Silkworm Gang Island out of materials that we find in abandoned mine shafts and in caves underneath Silkworm Gang Island only. We are not allowed to, for example, make any plankage or make any fences. We have literally got to harvest this out of this abandoned mine shaft. So when I see abandoned mine shafts, I am just so freaking stoked, man. I mean, seriously, look at this. We managed to pick up 12 fences already, 39 oak wood planks, which is going to go a long way to helping us complete the Silkworm Gang railway station. And I think that if I mine out this entire mine shaft right now, literally pick up every single block of plankage and every single fence, we should have enough material to finish off Silkworm Gang Island railway station to the point where I want it to be. And hopefully we'll have enough to finish off Silkworm Gang Island in total. I mean, we don't have a lot of time left in this season to finish Silkworm Gang Island. We literally have like 11 episodes or so, and obviously, oh, he just broke, oh man, he just broke our wood. You freaking creeper butthole. Nothing breaks wood like a creeper, if you know what I'm saying. But we literally only have a handful of episodes left in Season 3 to finish off Silkworm Gang Island, guys. So we need to really get cracking. I need to do as much freaking grinding as possible over here. I need to grind literally the living jazz out of this abandoned mine shaft. And it's probably going to take me, I don't know, a good 30 minutes or so. So in the meantime, guys, I want to tell you guys, I want to carry on the story that I was telling you in the last episode about Gareth, about Spacebucks, about the Silkworm Gang, and about the Space Gang at my school. And I do believe where we ended off in the story in the previous episode, and we already have a stack of plankage, which is awesome. I was talking about how Gareth was managed to make Spacebucks and use those Spacebucks to basically buy gang members. I mean, how freaking cheap is that, man? Freddy, who was the co-leader of the Silkworm Gang with me, Freddy and I had to work our butts off, man. We had to campaign You know, we had to go around our classmates telling them how freaking sweet the Silkworm gang is and how awesome our fort is. That's how we recruited our members, man. That freaking butthole Gareth, he just bought them with space bucks that he printed. I mean, if that isn't some corrupt jazz, I don't know what is, man. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see Gareth, like, I don't know, being the president of the most corrupt country on earth right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Gareth was the next freaking president of Zimbabwe. You know what I'm saying? But that's just jealousy talking, really. He was basically smarter than us. But Freddie and I, you know, we needed to figure out a plan to be able to oust Gareth in the polls and you know, find a way to get all of our classmates to choose the Silkworm gang over that freaking butthole space gang. And we needed to figure out a plan, and we needed to figure out a plan fast because Gareth's recruiting drive was working, man. His space bucks were buying him freaking space gang members left, right, and center, and I distinctly remember being very, very upset because one of the most popular boys in my class actually decided to go into the space gang, and I couldn't believe it, right? Because the space gang was led by like the biggest computer nerd in my class. Like Gareth was like a freaking nerd of epic proportions, now let me tell you. And the most popular guy in my class decided that the space gang was the gang for him. Even after telling Freddie and I think it was in another geography lesson that he was going to join Silkworm Gang Island, he freaking changed his stripes at the last minute and joined the space gang, man. That freaking butthole. But anyway, Freddie and I were trying to figure out a way. Man, everything went black. I thought that I died there. The world suddenly went dark. Whew, man, there are creepers about right now. Damn, we need to watch our back over here, cyber diggity dogs. But we also need to collect all of this freaking plankage up in here. All right, let's just make sure we have our torches going up as often as possible over here, guys. We cannot afford to die right now. Our iron armor is still looking pretty good, though, so that won't be going anywhere anytime soon. And there is an emerald. Sweet. Thank you very much. Okay, so we must be in a giant mountain biome. Or a giant hills biome, I think, right now. That's pretty sweet. So anyway, how in the jazz, I hear some of you guys asking, how in the jazz did Freddie and I manage to turn the tides against the avalanche that was Gareth and the Space Gang? Well, it all came down, it all started on a day that I went to visit Freddie at his house. I used to go and visit him quite a lot on the weekends. I think like when my mum wanted a bit of alone time with my stepdad, or I don't know, maybe she was just tired of looking after kids, she would go drop me off at Freddie's house, and she would go drop the Goxie, my brother, off at one of his friends' house. And I would spend like the weekend there. I'd spend like 1 or 2 days there. And Freddie's house was so freaking sweet, man, because Freddie was like a super rich kid, right? His dad was freaking loaded. Damn. And they had one of the biggest houses in Johannesburg, in the city that I lived in. Well, I don't know if it was one of the biggest houses, but to me, it felt like one of the biggest houses. It was absolutely enormous. It was like 3 stories. Freddie's room was the sweetest room ever, man. I remember his room just having the most awesome stuff in it. He had like 3 or 4 gaming consoles, like different types of gaming consoles. And in those days, we're talking about like Mega Drives and Ataris and stuff. So not PlayStations and Xboxes, but in those days, man, those gaming consoles were epic, and especially in South Africa, because of course those gaming consoles would have been imported and they would have been like really quite expensive. Freddie also had like really awesome science equipment. He had like microscopes and syringes and all of this weird science stuff that to this day I don't know what he was doing with all of it, but we used to like go like, I don't know, get insects and stuff from the garden and then like squish them and try and look at their cells in his microscope. It was awesome, man. His room in his house was just the sweetest. And in his house he also had something that would essentially be the very first step in taking down freaking Gareth and the Space Gang, and that was a personal computer. Now guys, back in those days when I was 12 years old, computers weren't as they are today, man. Like, people had computers, but only like the super rich had computers, and the computers were pretty slow, pretty bad. They definitely weren't what they are today, man. There was no such thing as laptops. There was no such thing as iPhones. There was no such thing as like Wi-Fi. Everything was done like with a wire. I know that's probably sounds absolutely crazy to you, some of you guys. Like some of you younger cyberdogs are probably thinking, a world without Wi-Fi? What kind of freaking world is that? Well, that is the world that I grew up in, man. But only very few of us, and especially in South Africa, had access to personal computers. Only the immensely rich or those with businesses, like at home, had access to computers, man. Oh, there is a freaking dungeon over here. So sweet. Let me just quickly pick up this plankage, then we're going to go and loot that chest over there. That must be a spawner over there. So sweet. Now, Freddy had a personal computer, and Freddy and I used to play games on that computer. In fact, some of the very first games that I ever played on a computer was on Freddy's computer. And we're talking about games like Battle Tanks, Battle Chess, California games, Leisure Suit Larry, that game was sweet. And a whole bunch of other like awesome DOS games and awesome like Windows, what was it, Windows 3.1 or something, man. Who knows? It was freaking ages ago. But we used to jam tons of games on that on Freddy's personal computer. And there is a freaking chest over here. Dear Lord, give us something sweet like an enchanted book. Kaplam! Some bread and some coal and some melon seeds. Thanks. Man, that sucks. Anyway, we'll put a... Oh, you know what? We'll actually collect this chest over here. Save ourselves some wood. We can definitely... And, you know, we'll definitely collect the minecart too, actually. We can use that in the railway station. So, sweet. Now, that day when I went to visit Freddy on that weekend, we had a really awesome time. I remember the day very, very clearly because actually something quite bad happened to Freddy's brother. What we used to do at Freddy's house is we used to climb up onto the roof and we used to like walk, because his house had like a super flat roof with little stones in it. I don't know if you guys know what kind of roof I'm talking about, but it's like a completely flat roof that's filled up with like cobblestones. It's like a sort of modern art roof, I guess. But his roof was like that. So we used to go and hang out on top of his roof just because it was so sweet. And we used to walk along the walls of the property. So in South Africa, most houses have like a really big wall surrounding the house, probably like between 6 and 12 foot high. And Freddy's wall was absolutely massive, but it was also really thick. It was like a couple of feet thick. So you could actually walk on top of the wall. And we used to like walk around the circumference of the wall around the entire property, just for the lulz of it, really. And because once we got to the other side of the wall, after walking around the entire circumference, we would be able to, there was a spot there where we would be able to jump onto the roof, and we used to go and like hang out on the roof and eat like chips and drink Coke and like talk about girls and stuff. It was awesome, man. I had freaking sweet times at Freddy's house. But anyway, that weekend we were walking on the roof, and Freddy's brother actually slipped and fell. And twisted his ankle or sprained his ankle or something. And I remember that his mama was so freaking angry with Freddy and I because we were older and we were supposed to be taking care of the younger kid. But you know, we were playing, man. Come on, we didn't think you'd fall off the roof, the freaking roof climbing noob. But anyway, his mum was really angry with us, and she tried to like wrap Freddy's brother's foot in like, you know, bandages and stuff, but it wasn't really working. So she said to Freddy and I, this was like around dinner time, she was like, I'm not going to make dinner for you. I have to take Freddy's brother to the hospital or whatever so we can x-ray his foot. You have to stay here and make sandwiches and you know, think about what you've done kind of thing. So that night, as I remember, we were going to have pizza at Freddy's house, and then we were going to go and watch a movie at the cinema and go hang out in the arcade, because that's what we did, man. You know, we had awesome lives, man. We used to go like to the arcade every weekend if we could. It was awesome. So anyway, Freddy and I were stuck at home while his mum was taking his brother to the hospital, and you know, we decided to go and play some games. I mean, when the sun went out, you know, there wasn't much to do outside. Like the garden was completely dark. We couldn't really play outside anymore. So when the sun went down, we used to hit the computer with the freaking vengeance, man. And we used to just play battle chess and play battle tanks and, man, all these sweet ass games. And we went to the computer room and we started playing, and I spotted like this really weird looking machine sitting next to Freddy's personal computer, and I was like, dude, what is that? And Freddy was like, no, this is something that my dad uses for his work, because his dad like had a really good job in the media, and he used to work. He was like a journalist, and he used to work from home sometimes, or quite a lot, I think. I don't know. Maybe he was a stay-at-home journalist. I don't know, man. I never asked. But anyway, there was this really weird machine sitting next to Freddy's PC, and basically what it looked like was a miniature handheld vacuum cleaner, and on the underside of it were two wheels and like a thin see-through like laser like piece of laser glass is the only way I can describe it. It looked like glass, right? Like a thin strip of glass, and basically what it was a very, very primitive scanner. Now, back in those days, like I'm sure most of you guys in your houses, you have like a scanner / printer, right? And what you do is you stick a document on top of the glass, like in the scanner, and then you scan the document, and then you can just print what you've scanned. Now, back in those days, man, those kind of scanners were not in existence yet, man. If you wanted to scan something, you had to do it the hard way. And literally, what you had to do was hold this like little handheld vacuum cleaner looking device in your hand, and then from the top of a document, you needed to drag it down the document at precisely the same speed all the way down to be able to scan the document from the top to the bottom. And if at any point you slightly adjusted the angle that you were dragging the handheld scanner, or you sped up the dragging mechanism too much, you would like blur your scan of the image. It was pretty primitive freaking hardware, man, but that's what we had to work with. Of course, Freddy and I had never seen such a thing, and we didn't really know what it was. But when Freddy told me that his dad used it to make copies of newspaper articles, a light went on in my freaking brain. And I was like, Freddy, dude, do you have any space bucks in your pocket, bro? And he was like, yeah, man, I got space bucks. I got like 50 space bucks. And I was like, dude, you know what we could do right now, man? We could make copies of these space bucks and use your printer to print our own space bucks and freaking take over the space buck economy of our school. And Freddy looked at me with a sudden glare in his eye, man, and he was picking up what I was putting down, man. He was like, dude, that is an absolutely genius idea. We can scan these space bucks with the scanner, print them with my dad's printer, cut them out using scissors, and we'll be rich, man. And Gareth will not be able to buy any members anymore. And we've got a freaking cave spider spawner up in here, man. Not good times. I'ma just close this over here. Oh no, incoming. Incoming! Must eat, must eat! Alright, there is a cave spider spawn around here, people. Keep your freaking eyeballs peeled. And we needed some milk, actually. We needed to bring a bucket of milk with us. So yes. Anyway, cave spiders, man, they always freaking throw me off my game so much, man. They are the scariest thing in this game! Back up! Back up, back up! Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no. Death, death. Death is imminent. Torches. Okay, maybe harvesting this last part of the abandoned mineshaft is not a good idea. Because I can hear a ridiculous amount of cave spiders up in there, man. I think I'm just gonna leave. Although I don't know where I've come from. Oh, yes, from up here. Oh my goodness gracious, man, that was freaking close. Never take on cave spiders with iron armor only. That's the advice I'm gonna give you guys right now, man. It is not a good idea. You will most likely get owned. Here we go. Here's a nice, quiet, peaceful area of the abandoned mineshaft. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Ah, tranquility. Anyway, guys, so that evening, while Freddy's brother and mum were at the hospital taking care of Freddy's brother's ankle, Freddy and I got onto the task of scanning, printing, and cutting out space bucks. And luckily, that Friday, the Friday before that weekend, there had been a delivery of fresh space bucks. Gareth had given out like a few $5 notes to everybody in the class, and we had in our pocket a couple of crisp, fresh 5 space buck notes in our wallets, and we managed to use those notes to make a ton of copies of them. And unfortunately, we could only make copies of the $5 note. Our $20, $50, and $10 notes were all like crumpled up and scrunched. I mean, there was literally like a small economy at my school, and space bucks were changing hands left, right, and center, man. And there is another freaking chest over here. So there's a spawner over here. There's a spawner over here. Must break it. Ooh, doggy. That was close. And we were so freaking lucky not to get any spawns there, man. Whew. Right, let's open this chest. Baby, give me something sweet. Kablam! Oh, some gold ingots. So sweet. Some iron, some freaking bread. That is awesome. We're definitely taking these gold ingots, that's for shiz. I think I'm going to try eat these fish. So we can make a little bit more space in our inventory. There we go. And we're definitely picking up these gold ingots. So sweet. And we've seen that one. And there's some gold over here too. Epic. Now, one of the challenges that we had during this great forgery session that Freddie and I had at his house was making sure that the paper was exactly the same, that the ink was exactly the same, and that the size of the note was exactly the same. Well, the size of the note wasn't difficult to accomplish, right? We scanned it with the scanner after numerous attempts to get it perfect, and we would print one note out on a single sheet. We would then cut that note out and stick it onto another sheet. And eventually we got a sheet that was completely covered in Spacebucks, and then we scanned that big sheet that was basically filled with Spacebucks, and then we basically scanned that full sheet and then printed it out over and over again, and that's how we basically printed out a ton of Spacebuck notes. We printed out like we cut out like 100 $5 notes, man. And I don't know what the conversion rate was for Spacebucks in those days, but let me tell you, let's just try and work it out, right? I remember buying a Parker pen from my friend for 10 Spacebucks, and that Parker pen at the time probably cost something like $10 US, something like that. So I don't know what the conversion rate is there, man, but if 10 Spacebucks equals $10 US, that is one Spacebuck. $1 equals one Spacebuck, man. That is some good conversion rate right there. Spacebucks were freaking high value jazz. And there is another spider spawner through here, but there's so much epic loot to get over there, man. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we'll just get back to picking up this jazz over here. There's some lapis here too. So anyway, so the size of the Spacebucks wasn't a problem, right? Because eventually we printed out a master copy worth of Spacebucks on one page. Then we scanned that page and printed it over and over again. The ink wasn't a problem either, because it looked like the ink on the original Spacebuck was exactly the same color as the ink on the Spacebuck that we'd forged. And that is probably because at the time there was probably only one type of printer that you could buy in South Africa, and only one type of ink that you could buy also. So both Freddie's dad and Gareth's dad must have bought the same ink and the same printer, probably from the same shop, actually, come to think about it. So that wasn't the problem. Now, the real problem was that freaking butthole Gareth had actually installed an anti-forgery mechanism on his Spacebuck notes, and what he had done was use a gold pen to sign the back of every Spacebuck with his own freaking signature. And let me tell you, man, Gareth's signature was just... It was a sad excuse for a signature. It was a mess. It was basically just a whole bunch of squiggly lines in a circle, like spinning around in a circle. It looked like he'd just taken hold of a golden Sharpie pen and just drawn a whole bunch of circles vividly, like rapidly, in succession, and then stuck a line through it. It was the worst signature I've ever seen. But because it was the worst signature ever, it was one of the hardest signatures to forge ever. And how much plankage is up in here, guys? Damn, this is the motherload of plankage and fences right here, man. This is sweet. But anyway, Freddie worked really, really, really hard. Ow. To forge Gareth's signature, and he actually... So the next week at school, after that weekend at Freddie's house, Freddie spent many hours during class trying to practice that signature, and eventually he got to a point where he could do a pretty good copy of Gareth's signature. And he came to me at lunch one day and he was like, dude, I can make a copy of the signature, man. Now all we need is a gold pen. Of course, you know, like, not everybody has gold pens up in this place, man. Gold pens are freaking rare. Like, who has gold pens? You know how freaking expensive those things are, man. So Freddie and I had to devise a cunning plan. And our plan was to distract Gareth somehow, and then to steal his gold pen from his space box, or his pencil case. We called them space boxes in South Africa. And he had a gold pen in his space box. And Freddie said to me one lunch, listen, man, I'm gonna go and like distract Gareth just at the end of class, and then like try and steal the gold pen from his space box if you can. And as the class ended, as the bell rang, Freddie ran over to Gareth and he started, I think he was like insulting him and stuff and calling him names and stuff and distracting him, and Gareth got really angry with him, I remember. But there was an opening where I managed to get to Gareth's spacebox and I managed to take out one of his gold pens, and then the spider is looking ominously at us over here, man. Ah, bottle! And I managed to collect one of the gold pens that was in his spacebox. The problem was, though, that he had obviously been using that pen to sign spacebox because the tip was like quite worn away and there wasn't a lot of gold ink left. So even though Freddie and I had printed out a ton of spacebox notes, in the end we only managed to sign like half of them before the pen ran out of ink. That day after school we went to the Silkworm Gang fort, we went to the mulberry tree with our sheets and sheets of spacebox and 2 pairs of scissors, and Freddie and I sat there underneath the mulberry tree behind the wall that we'd built, you know, backs against the wall of the Silkworm Gang, and I remember eating sandwiches while Freddie was signing those notes, and we managed to sign about half of them, and we were rich, man. We were so rich, in fact, that we could probably go to the most popular guy that had decided to go with the Space Gang and convince him to join the Silkworm Gang. We would have been able to give him like 60 Spacebucks or something, and that would have definitely changed his colors. And we were the happiest kids ever, man. I remember very, very clearly being in the Silkworm Gang fort with Freddie that afternoon. The sun was going down. It was a beautiful summer's day. There was like a bit of dust in the air around us, and we were just triumphant. We felt like triumphant politicians. We felt like we had conquered, we had won the war in a strategic way without any you know, like form of violence or any form of confrontation. We were going to win the war economically. We were going to take freaking Gareth down to Chinatown, and the Space Gang would no longer exist, and every single person in our class and in our year would join the Silkworm Gang, and the Silkworm Gang would be remembered as the greatest gang to ever exist in any school in the world ever. And that was the plan, guys. And I remember going home that night, walking up the road to the parking lot, you know, to get into like where my mum would pick me up. And I was walking with Freddie, and we were just so happy, man. We were the happiest kids ever. And we just couldn't wait to get home, go to sleep, wake up, and go back to school the next day, because the next day would be the start of our campaign, would be the start of, you know, the campaign to gain more members than the Space Gang. And we went back to school with our Spacebucks. And when we got back to school, suddenly our hearts sunk into our mouths, because on that day the headmaster had called an assembly. I don't know if you guys do assemblies, but when we did assemblies, the whole school would gather into the hall, like into the great hall of the school, and everybody would be there, all the teachers, the head teacher, the vice head teacher, and it would usually be like at assembly you would have sports results, and you would have announcements from teachers or announcements from the headmaster. And we had an assembly every single Monday, but this time around the assembly was like it was on like a random day. It was like on a Wednesday or something, or a Thursday. And usually when an assembly started like on a random day, that usually meant something bad was about to happen. That usually meant that that the headmaster had an announcement to make that wasn't going to be great for us. And you guys have probably guessed what the announcement was, but basically the headmaster had decided to ban Spacebucks in the school because one of the kids had sold his school jacket to an older boy in the class. Now, that is, if you think about that, that is completely ridiculous, man. He sold his school jacket, which probably cost his mama like I don't know, like $50. He sold his school jacket for like 20 Spacebucks, and literally 20 pieces of paper. Like quite literally 20 pieces of paper. And obviously, you know, the teachers had heard about it, and because obviously that kid went home and his mama was like, where's your school jacket? And this Enderman, do not look him in the eye. I don't want to battle him, man. He's gonna kick my ass. And obviously his mama had said, where's your freaking school jacket? And he was like, I sold it for 60 Spacebucks. And man, his mother must have flipped a gasket at that one. For those of you guys who are parents out there, can you imagine your cyber pups sold their freaking school jackets for 50 pieces of paper, man? That is some serious parent rage right there. But anyway, guys, unfortunately, Freddie and I's plans to take over the gang monopoly in our school was thwarted by a freaking headmaster, thwarted by one idiot who decided to sell his school jacket for pieces of paper. And unfortunately, we had to hand in all space bucks to our teacher. Anything that was bought for space bucks had to be given back. So the Parker pen that I bought from my friend, I had to give back. People had to give back lunch boxes and rulers and shoes, and oh my goodness, I mean, it was ridiculous how much stuff people bought from each other. But you know, it was an amazing time at my school, man. The space bucks era is what I will always remember it as. And Freddie and I came so freaking close to overthrowing the space gang. And when space bucks were banned and our plan fell through, we had to go to another plan, a plan B, a much more confrontational plan, a plan that would involve traps and smoke bombs, a plan that would involve a giant freaking invasion of the space gang headquarters. Guys, that's a story for another freaking day. We have run out of time in today's episode, guys. Really hope you have enjoyed it. We've managed to collect for ourselves a ton of fences, a ton of plankage. This has been an absolutely giant freaking abandoned mineshaft, which has been amazing for us. We're definitely going to have enough resources to finish off Silkworm Gang Island. I have no doubt in my mind. Of course, we still have to get back to Silkworm Gang Island in one piece, so that's going to be my next task. But I'm going to spend the next half an hour or so just mining out the rest of this abandoned mineshaft. You know, there's just too many resources here for us to leave right now, guys. But I'm gonna love you and leave you. Thank you so much for watching this episode, guys. If you enjoyed it, you hit that freaking like button. And if you have similar stories about a gang that you were in at school or anything else like that, let me know in the comment section below, man. I always love reading your guys' stories. Guys, this has been RENDOG playing Minecraft Survival. Hope you guys have enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next freaking video. Goodbye, my friends!